Okay, then today we're going to talk about anxiety, and I guess the question would be, what do you
How
want
do you
to?
control it?
So the question would be then, you wonder how do you control the anxiety? Well, I think you have to take a look at first of all what's going around, what's going on in your life that might be causing the anxiety. Anxiety oftentimes comes from people not being able to make a decision.
Oh.
Or it can be something that's going on that you have no control of, but you want to control the outcome.
Okay.
That can give you anxiety because it makes you insecure on some level to where I want to know what's going to happen. I want to know what's going to happen. I want to know what's going to happen.
Right.
Now, that can go all the way back to childhood when it would almost look like you're around 7 years old. Your 7-year-old is here. That always wanted to know what's going to happen next.
The only thing that I can remember when I was 7, two things happened when I was 7.
Okay.
I got bit by a Hartford police dog.
That could do, yes.
Right in the face.
That's trauma.
Which I don't remember that day at all.
Mm-hmm.
But, I have visions of it. Kind of. And my father actually had a mild heart attack in the hospital when I was waiting to get stitches.
Well, that's trauma on two levels.
Because it was right in the face.
Absolutely. That's experiencing trauma physically and experiencing trauma emotionally.
Okay.
So that definitely could create anxiety. If what happens with children then is they put it into their subconscious mind, they shut down from it, but yet there's a fear of something going to happen. It's like you could end up not liking surprises. You could end up with something triggering the trauma and making you anxious, not knowing what's going to happen. When you get bit in the face, you don't know what's going to happen from there.
Right.
Because now you're going to a strange place.
Right.
And then someone tells you your father has a mild heart attack. So it's like you're anxious.
Right.
Which turns into anxiety. And you can't control either one of them. The only thing you can do is rescue the 7-year-old.
Okay. And the other thing happened is, and it's another day I have no recollection of. It was my birthday, and I was told that my aunt used to always make me chocolate birthday cakes. And I remember her, supposedly I had a big piece of chocolate cake when she was there, but I went out riding my bike, and apparently I went over the handlebars, and I was unconscious. It was a neighbor who carried me home, and I ended up in the hospital for a whole week with a concussion. And all I did was vomit, and I associated it with chocolate cake, but apparently it was dry blood.
And it was also from the concussion.
Right.
But each time you were surprised with each trauma.
Right. And I remember being in the hospital and being scared to death being in the hospital, because it was back then your parents could only be there during visiting hours.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's the insecurity, that's the anxiety of what's going to happen.
Right.
Where are they? What are we going to do? And oftentimes, because it's non-clinical anxiety, it's oftentimes from trauma. The anxiety is. It's like each time you don't remember exactly what happened.
Right.
That can be a coping mechanism to shut down.
I remember the doctor telling, well, obviously my mother, but I remember her telling me event amnesia.
Yes.
Right.
That's how you cope.
Right.
To be able to survive whatever trauma at the time that you're suffering.
Right.
But then when you become aware of all your surroundings and nobody is there to tell you you're here because, and Dad's going to be okay, and it's like you got bit by the dog and you're going to be okay. But if they're not there emotionally supporting you and they're just treating you medically, for a child it can be very, very, very invoking, very, very anxiety provoking.
Yeah, the one recollection I do remember being in the hospital is it was after visiting hours and it was late, and them wheeling me down to take x-rays. and feeling like they forgot about me, that I was sitting in this wheelchair in this empty room. It seemed like eternity.
Yeah.
Right.
It's when nobody's explaining what's going on
Right.
to you provokes anxiety in children.
Okay.
It sometimes provokes anxiety in adults too. But the part about provoking the anxiety in the adult is because they're not making a decision. And if the adult is anxiety ridden, it could be because they're not asking the questions they need to ask. So they're not making a decision, first of all, to ask the question.
Right.
Then they're afraid if they're asking the right question, you know. So they're kind of feeling very helpless. They're waiting for someone else to make the decision for them. Okay. It could be for the care. It could be for whatever reasons that makes you feel safe. If you're sitting there in a wheelchair as an adult or a child oftentimes wouldn't know, but the adult would. But the adult doesn't know how to ask the questions. The adult would get rid of the anxiety by saying, "What's going on here?
Right.
Tell me, why am I sitting here in this wheelchair? What are you going to do to me?"
Right.
When you know those things, the anxiety goes down. There's no anxiety.
Right. Right.
You make the decision to advocate for yourself, or let's say with your husband, anxiety around of any family member illness. People get very anxious because they wait instead of asking.
Okay.
Okay.
And, well, maybe because I've been feeling so much better in the past week. And part of it could be, we've known Craig has had an issue with his prostate ever since the breast cancer and everything else, that there's a low-grade cancer there.
Yes, that would be anxiety-provoking, yeah.
And the doctors are all saying, you know, you're not going to die from this. You know, you probably die with it, but you're not going to die from
it. Yeah, yeah.
But, and I could feel his anxiety about it, and my thoughts are, just have it fucking taken out. You know, just have it removed.
Or ask the question.
Well, when we did go.
What kind of information do you have that says he's not going to die from it?
Exactly. But after talking to the doctors and Craig talking to family, that was my phone.
Okay.
He's made the decision to have it out.
Good.
So it's like.
That's the anxiety. The anxiety goes away then,
right.
Because now, so your anxiety is more, it would seem like your anxiety is more associated with lack of information than control.
Because I didn't want to make the decision for him.
Well, you can't.
I know.
You can't.
And so when he finally decided to do it, it's like,
he needs your support. He needs your support with that.
Right.
But for you personally about your anxiety, so it has more about, not so much about your control, it seems it has more to do with your lack of information.
Right.
Because it seems when you get the information, you're relieved.
Right.
And that's the decision part. That's the decision.
Because I did go with him for all his
absolutely.
Visits. Yeah.
But it's still asking the questions, making the decision, whether he's making it or you're making it.
Right.
It relieves the anxiety.
Yeah.
Which is really, really good.
Right.
The only thing you can tell your inner child, when she doesn't know what's going on, you tell her, "That's okay, I got this. You're the kid, I'm in charge." And then what you do is you would reassure her emotionally she's fine, she's safe, nobody's going to hurt her, nobody's going to do anything to her. And then as the adult, you just deal with the facts.
Right, right.
And the facts are, what decision are we making about, whether it's about your health, about moving, about relationships, about anything like that. Once you make that decision, and you all agree on it, you won't have any anxiety about wondering what's going to happen next.
Exactly, right. Yeah.
And that comes from the kid, what's going to happen next. You see, the child feels everything. The adult only deals with the facts. And the parent is the one that will be the nurturing one. They're either sledgehammers or they're nurturing, or critical, whichever they are.
Right.
So the child always needs the nurturing, reassuring they're going to be okay. But the memory, you're still carrying the stress of the unexpected things that happen when you were a kid and nobody was there to give the kid the information.
Right. Yep.
So when you follow that, once now that you're aware of it, for future reasons, if you get anxious, you just tell the kid, I got this.
Okay.
I'm going to take care of it. That's making a decision.
Ask
Ask questions.
There's a fly buzzing around.
Don't worry about the fly. You ask questions.
Right.
And you make decisions about what, if it's personally about you, you're going to make decisions about what you're going to do.
Right.
But the unknown for you creates the anxiety.
True.
Okay?
And that's probably because I went to the allergist and now I know I'm not allergic to cows.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Answers,
it's getting the answers, because now you can, oh, that's what that was. That's gone. So you don't have, because you don't have clinical anxiety.
Right.
You have situational anxiety. Okay?
Yeah, it's, when I was pregnant, my doctor always told me I had event hypertension. Does that make sense?
Well, that can be situational, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The stress can put up your...
He told me that because...
Can put up your blood sugar, put up your blood pressure.
He would take my... Because I was on bed rest for a while, too.
Which would be anxiety-provoking, yeah.
Because my blood pressure was up so much, but after sitting and talk to him for a while, he'd take it again, it would be down.
Yes.
So he said I had
event
hypertension.
Well, that's the same as the anxiety. You can have situational. You can have any emotion situational.
Right.
Which is not clinical. So for you, it would be situational anxiety that you're talking about. And you've had events in your life that would create it. You know, if you're moving house, where you're going to go, all of that kind of thing. And remember, it's all temporary.